Brian, let's go back to what you were talking about real buyers, buyers that show green flags, not red flags. Say a business doesn't have financials, right? It's a restaurant or a laundromat and they can't prove the numbers on paper. I see a lot of brokers giving up on that. When I started, I gave up on that too, but the business still can be there, even if he doesn't show it on paper. How do you ask for underlying questions or anyone, say it's a laundromat? How are you going to find out what the real income is if he doesn't show it on the tax returns?
But honestly, depending on conversations that you'll have with the seller, is really be able to determine whether that listing is a real listing or not. Because if we don't have data, if a seller says, I want a full fledged LOI cash in my pocket, then I'm going to show you numbers, sort of thing, it's not going to end up getting sold. But through a couple of conversations, you can tell who's real and who's not. And we do have several deals out there where everything that I'm showing to the buyer is the adjusted net. And my pitch is that all these numbers are 100% verifiable, but they'll be verifiable by whoever goes the distance. And I can't give that information out up front to everybody. Everybody requests it, but I can't do it. And you hire to accept that, and that you have to know that they truly are going to be verifiable. At that point, the seller will release all the bank statements and all the purchase orders and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, will genuinely release everything to the real person.
So, for an example, I'm a car wash operator, right? I have car washes. I know that a lot of these car washes don't have the number, like no car washes in New York, unless you're a PE company, you can prove what you do. But I know that every car wash has an eye in the tunnel. I don't know if anyone knows what that is. There's an eye, which is a car counter.
Mhm.
So anytime a car goes through, the eye calculates the car. If the cashier tries to avoid that, it shows up as void on the system, no matter what system it is. So I can look at the car counts, I can look at the POS, and I can see how many cars get washed a year. If I know that it's full service, I know that the average price per ticket is going to be between $30 and $40. And so if I could figure out how many cars get an approximate value, I can figure out what kind of gross revenue they're doing. And then from there, I can, really get into the expenses, which mainly is the payroll. In the laundromat business, you can look at the utility bills. Like if you're in Queens, Brooklyn, Long Island, and you see a water bill at $5,000 a month, and you see the gas and electric at $5,000 a month, this laundromat's pumping. If the guy doesn't show the income, you can just reach out to me and say, Mike, what were the utility bills on laundromats that do $500,000 a year? And I can let you know. Those are other ways of finding out if the sellers don't report their income. The restaurant business, you can look at the food bills. You can look at the payroll. If you walk into the restaurant, you see 10 people working behind the counter. You can calculate that the average person makes about $1,000 a week. It's $10,000 a week for 10 people. It's $500,000 a year. The business should be making 1.52 million. That's what they told. There's a lot of different ways to reverse engineer all the numbers out. So the point that I'm making is if you don't have the numbers, it's harder to sell, but don't give up on the listing. And if you don't have the numbers, that can be your angle with the seller. You can position yourself with the seller and you can basically, if it's his price, it's our terms. So basically, you can negotiate a due diligence period where they give a deposit, they're able to stay in the business for 30 days. And I do this a lot with car washes. The buyer stays in the business for 30 days and they love the business. They're like, wow, I love this business. It's busy, especially right now. It's going to be pollen season. So just don't give up. That's the point that I'm making is if the business doesn't show exactly what the owner says it does, don't give up right away. There's other ways to get a deal done.
Would you say these cash businesses are more or less likely to do seller financing, or it's really a toss up?
They're
Because
much more likely to do seller financing.
and
And
that
that's our job. We have to train them to do seller financing. If they can't show what they're making, if you can't train them to do seller financing, you're not doing something right.
because the seller financing shows they believe that in their business they are in fact making that. What
Yeah,
they're
like if you're a seller, Sarah, say you're selling a car wash
yeah.
and you're talking to me and you're like, I want all cash, but I can't show my cash. How could you have your cake and eat it too? What are you talking about? Do you want your multiple? You have to seller finance. We've sold more car washes than anyone. Every deal is seller financing. Do you really want to sell? You got to get confident like that.
Nice.
So I think training sellers on seller financing is huge. You should really go over the numbers. You should go over their tax basis. You should go over their capital gains hit. The longer you seller finance, the more you can defer your capital gains. It's not really about top line number. It's about bottom line number. What are you going to make after taxes? That's what I tell the seller. Don't worry about what you're going to make top line. You still got to pay taxes. What are you going to make after taxes?
And honestly, more seller finance does allow you to get a larger multiple on a business as well. Two of the hotels that the market packs being created now, that are the tourist ones, will have significant seller financing. One will be $1 million down. It's a $2.7 million offering, 35 rooms. Again, all tourists. Bottom line is, I believe the adjusted net was 425,000 on it. Because of the long-term seller finance aspect of it, there is the opportunity to get a larger top line on it. And this one also comes with a single-family house that's next door to the motel.
25 to 26% for a business and a property. Where could you find that?
Yeah,
Very hard. What was the commission? Did you lock it up yet?
Yeah, locked up 10% ELA.
Wow.
It's a good one.
On the commission, the 10%, just so everyone knows, it's the buyer's only putting $1 million down, but we get paid on the whole value up front. So if it's a $2.5 million deal or 2.7, we get 250 to 270, and that comes out of the million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good deal that you pulled off. But yeah, we have a ton of inventory. We have a ton of opportunity. We have billions of dollars of business listings, and we have probably over 100 million in commission. So you got to make stuff happen. I mean, it's right in front of you right now. So far, I think we closed 20 deals this year so far. I mean, now's the time. 6 million businesses for sale. Let's get everything sold. I need everyone posting on social media. Let's push. He's pushing. There's a lot of people that are pushing, but you got to push harder. We have so much inventory. Get on Instagram. Get on LinkedIn.
Real quick, can I just say two things?
Yeah, of course.
So in terms of social media, sometimes there's no, they're very minimal reactions or anything like that. But I'll see people that I know, like I'll run into someone and they'll be like, "Hey, I see that you're selling businesses now," and it just goes to show that a lot of people are watching. Maybe they're not reacting or commenting or anything like that, but you're still reaching those eyes and stuff like that. Even if a lot of people aren't, engaging on the post, it's still reaching people and you're still on the top of people's minds. So it's something I was observing as well, which was really cool.
That's like huge. That's like the biggest thing ever. We're all kind of fine tuned in the way that we want to see likes. Like you post a pic, you get likes, and you're like, oh, cool, I got 30, 40 likes. Whatever, you post a story with a link, it gets you excited when someone responds to the story or repost your story. But everyone's watching the story, But that's huge. That's big. That clicked for me a little while ago. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of people need to understand that. You're not going to see the immediate, satisfaction from posting something, but it's still on everybody's minds.
Yeah.
We started posting every day, a year ago?
Exactly.
A year and a half ago?
Exactly a year ago. And everyone
in the beginning, it wasn't all butterflies and rainbows. We didn't get a lot of traction, but if you just do it every single day and just not think about the result, just think about, don't think about the temporary result, think about the permanent result. That's how you can stay disciplined.
Absolutely.
That's how you're going to gain as much traction as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's that one video or that one post that's just like, me and Mike spent so many times, we were like, this is going to be the post. This is it. And it didn't work out, but we kept staying hopeful. And then finally that one post hit and it was a done deal.
Yeah, that one post hit and you get 20,000 followers from one video. They're all real. And then you're like, how do you handle all these leads?
These are problems that you guys want to have, and it's just consistency. And I think what Christian said was a very good point. People see without engaging, and it's so true. And it plants a little seed that nobody might be looking to buy a business now, but then they're at a party and somebody says, "Hey, I've really been looking to buy a pizzeria or something," and they're like, "You know what? My friend's friend, I saw him somewhere. Was it Instagram or Facebook? Like, they can't really remember, but that seed has been planted where they know what's going on, with Christian or Marlon or Sage or anyone that's posting actively on social media. So it may not be that direct connection you have or you chatting back and forth with someone being interested, but somewhere out there, a friend of a friend or someone, they know, they heard of you. And when they're ready to buy or sell, you're on their mind."